With the new Snapdragon 8 Elite, a stunning 144Hz 1.5K truly full-screen display, a cooling fan, a vapor chamber, and a 7050 mAh battery to power it all with an impressive 100-watt fast charging, the Reg Magic 10 Pro offers the highest level specs for a gaming phone, so hit subscribe now and we'll see if it lives up to the hype. So this phone is aimed at the gamers, and from the minute I picked it up I was very impressed by the display. It's a 6.853-inch display to be exact, and we get a 144Hz refresh rate, we get a resolution of 2688 by 1216, we also get a peak brightness of 2000 nits. But what's most impressive for me is the full screen display thanks to the incredibly narrow 1.25mm bezels and a new 16 megapixel under display camera. Now you really can't see this new under panel camera at all, and this means that you consistently get a great gaming experience with no distractions. With a 95.3% screen to body ratio, it's truly a full screen display, and the under display camera's performance has also come a long way as well, but we'll cover more in the camera sample shortly. The display is fast, bright, vibrant and responsive, and just a pleasure to use whatever the task, whether that's going to be social media, browsing the web or doing some gaming. Design-wise, it's also great, and Reg Magic are moving in a much better direction aesthetically, as they still look like futuristic gaming phones, but they're a lot more sleek than they used to be, and this is going to open it up to a much wider market. Now I've got the dusk version here, but it's also available in moonlight or shadow, and we've got plenty of customizations when it comes to the lighting. Now for the cooling fan, you can manually turn this on or off, or it's going to automatically come on when it's doing performance-intensive tasks like gaming. And for the lights, you can choose between plenty of effects like breathe, flashing, burst, flash or flow, and you can also change the color of the LEDs or have multiple colors at the same time. Now you'll also notice we've got this X in the top right, as well as the Reg Magic logo in the bottom left, and again you can select LED effects and change the color of these lights. And the only thing I would say is that it would have been nice to have a custom color picker, because you are restricted to these colors here, but to be fair, they've all given an accurate representation apart from the yellow, and I find this looks more like a green. Now a lot of you are most going to be concerned about the performance for gaming, and of course being powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite paired with 16GB of DDR5 RAM and 512GB of UFS 4.1 storage, the phone is of course no slouch. It's going to handle pretty much any game you throw at it, as it's one of the most powerful gaming phones available today, and the 144Hz refresh rate is great for the more competitive gamers to gain that extra edge. Now the Reg Magic 10 Pro also delivers an impressive 2500Hz instant touch sampling rate with a 960Hz constant rate for lightning fast response times, and you can even wirelessly cast 120 frames a second. Now I've been doing some gaming on Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG and Asphalt, and it's just a pleasure to use. Everything just performs well, it looks incredible, and we can enjoy high graphic settings at high refresh rates. And another great feature is the capacitive shoulder buttons, and these are going to be great for first-person shooters. Now another great feature about the Reg Magic is putting it into gaming mode with the switch on the right-hand side, and there's plenty of customizations that you can do from within there, including how the fan operates and the performance of the device. Now there are so many customizations in here, but the main ones are going to be the overall performance profile, which I set to rise for gaming, and then for the GPU I set it to high quality because I'm more concerned about getting the best experience rather than power consumption. There are also filters that you can add to your game to help you spot enemies easier, and there's even things like a scout mode that adds a huge zoom to the center of the screen. Now we've also got Reg Magic's IceX cooling system, which is the first smartphone with liquid metal technology. And we've also got the high-speed fan running at 23,000 RPM, and the fan can definitely be heard when it's activated, but when you're playing it, the game sounds loud enough to go over the top of it so you can't hear it, but we'll just listen to the fan noise now. Now for those of you concerned with synthetic benchmarks, I ran it through Geekbench 6 where it scored 3,136 for single core and then 9,728 for multi-core. Then over on the GPU benchmark we get 16,715. Now we also ran it through the Wildlife Extreme benchmark over on 3D Mark, and here we get a score of 5,895 with an average frame rate of 35.3 frames a second. And interestingly enough, I added a Geekbench to the game mode to see what effect it had on performance. It actually made the benchmarks score much lower, and I tested this multiple times and got the same results as you can see here. But then as soon as I removed Geekbench from the gaming mode, I got great benchmark scores again. Now we've also got the 3.5mm headphone jack for those of you that want to plug in headphones for the best audio quality and latency. And for those of you that don't use headphones, we've got dual speaker system with DTS:X certification and the Snapdragon sound tuning to enhance the audio across multiple applications. And the speakers are okay, but they do lack bass when at max volume, and there's also a little bit of distortion I'm hearing, so we'll just take a listen now.
Come again. This Wolverine let down his entire world. Captain America caught without his wings.
Now for those of you that want to take some pictures, this is the photo quality you're going to get from the Reg Magic 10 Pro. We've got a dual camera setup which consists of a 50 megapixel wide angle camera, it's got optical stabilization, a 7p lens and an anti-glare coating. And as you can see, the primary camera delivers some great photographs, there's plenty of detail in the highlights and the shadows, and they're all very punchy, high contrast photos. Now you can zoom in for photos, but it's all digital, so it will greatly affect the quality if you do it, and I personally wouldn't recommend it. We then get a 50 megapixel ultrawide with an optimized distortion correction algorithm, but to be honest, I would avoid using the ultrawide altogether. The results seem to be underexposed photos that are noticeably worse than the primary camera, and hopefully it's something that can be improved with future software updates, but at the moment I wouldn't use the ultrawide at all and always opt for the primary wide angle. Now for the selfies, we get a 16 megapixel selfie camera that's under the display, and here are the images you're going to get from the selfie camera. And as you can see, there's a huge improvement to the picture quality from previous generations, and it definitely has come a long way, but it's also still not as good as a dedicated punch hole camera, but it does give you a good enough camera and you've still got selfies that you could use. Now when it comes to the video, we get some great quality video and we can record 8K at 30 frames a second from both cameras, as well as 4K at 60 frames a second, so we'll just take a look at the video samples now. Now this is the video from the rear facing camera. We're on the wide angle. This is 8K at 30 frames a second, and I'm just slowly walking forward, so we'll see what the stabilization's like. I do a slow pan, quick pan back, we'll just do a little jog. So that's the video from the wide angle at 8K. Now this is a video from the ultra wide. Again, it's 8K, 30 frames a second. It does look much darker in the viewfinder, so it'll be interesting to see if it's the same when I put it on the computer. And again, just walking forward slowly. And if I do a slow pan, quick pan back, and then little jog to see the stabilization. And there you go. Now we've dropped down to 4K, which gives us 60 frames a second. This is the primary wide angle camera, and again I'm just walking forward, so that'll give you an idea of what that stabilization is like. If I take a pause and do a slow pan, quick pan back again, and as always it will just do a little jog, see the stabilization. And that's the video from the primary camera. So I've now switched to the ultra wide. Again in the viewfinder it looks a little bit darker, but we're just walking forward slowly. There's also a lot of noise from the traffic and a little bit from the wind, so it'll be interesting to see how it deals with that. But again, if I just stop, do a slow pan, quick pan back, and one last jog. So that's the video from the ultra-wide camera, 4K, 60 frames a second. So this is the video from that under-panel 16 megapixel selfie camera. Now of course one thing you've got to be very careful of is smudges over the screen. So I've just wiped that with my top to hopefully get the best possible. But it's 1080p at 30, which is the max. If I do a slow pan around, you can change to 720p, but there's no 4K from the selfie camera. Actually, I'm just going to do a jog forward. There you guys see what the stabilization's like. But that's the quality from the under panel selfie camera. So it's the same with the photos pretty much, and we get some great footage from the primary camera, but the ultra wide is pretty bad. It's darker, there's more noise in the video, and it also appears to struggle with focus a lot more, so I would only use the primary camera when it comes to the video. Now for the selfie camera, it's okay, but let's be honest, it's not great here. Photos are much better, I assume, because of the additional processing it can do, but you can see with the videos it is really struggling, and we've got plenty of glare and a bit of fringing going on, as well as just overall bad quality, but of course it is still usable, it's just not the best. Now powering everything is a 7050 mAh battery, and this is going to give you 18 hours of video playback or 6.2 hours of Genshin Impact gameplay, and we also get an impressive 100 watt fast charging, but this is wired charging only, and unfortunately it doesn't support wireless charging. Now for the software side, it's running Reg Magic 10 OS, and this is based on Android 15, and thankfully it's also got Google's Gemini AI, which delivers tools like AI photo search, AI image editing and translation, and overall it's a great assistant to have, but it doesn't get features like Magic Eraser or Photo Unblur, which is a shame, and it's missing all of the other goodies that you'd find on a Google or Samsung device like Audio Magic Eraser on video. The UI as a whole though is great, and it runs smooth and snappy, and there's plenty of customization in the UI and the toolbars, and I have to admit the standard aesthetics aren't really to my personal taste in terms of the icons and the design, but there are 6 different themes to choose from, so I just select the default Android one as I just much prefer the look. Now you can customize anything you want in here though, from the clock, wallpaper and lock screen settings, all the way to colors, shapes, animations and your always on displays, and you can even change the fingerprint animation for your under display fingerprint unlock, so you can pretty much have everything the way you like it. Now we've also got the Z Smart sidebar where you can just drag in from the left and hold it, and this is great to start a bit of multitasking like split screen applications. Now in terms of bloatware, there's only a couple of apps like Booking.com pre-installed, which you can just go and uninstall, but there's also a couple of folders like Hot Games and Hot Apps with shortcuts to download games, and of course I just removed these all together. And then if you swipe all of the way to the left, there is advertisements for apps and games in here as well, but thankfully we can go into settings, disable these, and then we've got it ad-free. Now we also have Mora that's meant to be an AI assistant, and you can have it as a live wallpaper that's going to help deliver notifications and information, etc. But personally, I found it all just a little bit gimmicky, so I turned it straight back off. Now in terms of connectivity, we've got Bluetooth 5.4, NFC and Wi-Fi 6E, and for biometrics, we've got the under-display fingerprint scanner, which works well, it's fast, snappy, and it works every time. And then despite being an under-display selfie camera, the face unlock also works pretty well. Every now and then, most often in dark rooms, it didn't let me in, but I'm probably talking about maybe 5 out of 50 attempts, and other than that, it's unlocked the phone quickly at most times. And when it comes to the unboxing, you can see we've got a nice sleek box with the matte grey design, and if we open it up, we first get the box that contains the warranty card and the protective case. Under that, we've got the Reg Magic 10 Pro itself. Then underneath that, we get the wall charger, which is an 80 watt fast charger, and great to see it included. And then finally, we've got the red USB-C cable. So overall, the Reg Magic 10 Pro is a great phone that continues to push the boundaries where other manufacturers don't, and they've not only delivered a true full screen display, but it's bright, vibrant and responsive, and it's one of my favorite smartphone displays that I've ever used. Now the large battery with 100 watt fast charging is a bonus, and they've done a great job at picking the right things for their target market, which is of course the gamers. And if you want a phone mainly for photography, then this isn't going to be the phone for you, as you'll get better photos and videos for a flagship that's more geared towards that, and also doesn't have an under-display selfie camera. But if you want a great performing phone with an epic design and display that still takes good enough photos, but it's a powerhouse in everything else, then the Reg Magic 10 Pro is for you. Now of course, I've placed a link down in the description below, as well as details of the great early bird offer that's going to be starting on the 12th of December, and you'll get a $30 coupon as well as the phone starting from just €649, which is a great price considering the performance of the phone. So if you want the Reg Magic 10 Pro, then I take advantage of that by using the link down in the description. And hopefully I've covered everything for you guys in today's video, but if there's anything I've missed or you've got any questions at all, then just ask them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech.